In this video, we will have a look at referencing sources that have gained prominence in the last few years. That is, sources accessed via the internet or on social media platforms. Now you might think, oh, hold on, social media is not very academic. Well, you might be right. You need to keep in mind, however, that academics and professionals are making use of multiple platforms to disseminate their work. So you really should not discount any of these. Therefore, in this video, we will be specifically looking at referencing web pages, email, Twitter, and Facebook. We are fully aware that Twitter and Facebook are not the only social media platforms out there. We will show you the conventions of referencing them, however, and you can apply it to just about any social media platform you like. In the previous video, we were introduced to some of the conventions that we will make use of here again. Before we do, however, let's look at the basic features of a web page and how to make use of them for our reference. The first aspect of a web page is its URL. Of course, there are billions upon billions of web pages on the internet. So when you make reference to one specific web page, you will have to make use and be sure to give a specific URL. Furthermore, it's important to show in your reference what the web page deals with, and for this you will need a title. Then, as you would come to expect, the reference to your web page would need to be attributed to an author or authors. This could be a person or a corporation, but more about this later. Scrolling down on the web page also revealed a date of publication or review to be used alongside the author details. Lastly, you will need to note the last date on which you personally accessed this web page. The reason why this is important is that the web is ever-changing, and a website that was available one day might not be available on a next visit, even if you make use of the correct URL. As a side note, social media is even more fickle when it comes to date of access. People delete posts or tweets, and you need to make sure that you recorded the date on which your reference was still available. Okay, let's look at what the reference to this web page would look like. As you can see, the reference starts out like any other with the surname and initials of the author, followed by the date on which it was published and the title and subtitle of the web page. The title is, of course, in sentence case and italicized. Next, we have in block brackets a capital O showing that this was an online source. Then we show where the source is available by copying and pasting the URL from your browser window. Now, as said, it's very important to have this exactly right, so I do not recommend typing. Copy and paste. Lastly, we have the last date of access. Now, this is all easy enough, but I do want to show you something about authorship. On many web pages, if not most web pages, it's easy enough, as the author would be identified by name. Sometimes, however, there's no single person identified, but rather an organization that is responsible for the content. In this case, the organization's name is written as the author of the web page in the same place as the person's name would be, also followed by a full stop at the end. Now, other times it's even not as easy as all that, and you have to look to who holds the copyright of the web page to get an idea of its authorship. Next, let's look at emails and how to reference them. Now, at first, it might seem a strange thing to have to reference, but it does come in handy when, for example, you hold interviews via email. However it came to be, referencing emails are quite intuitive. Let's say I would like to reference this email. My reference would end up looking like this. First, obviously, we have the sender indicated just as an author would be, followed by the sender's email address, in brackets, followed by a full stop. Then we have the date on which the email was sent, followed directly by the subject of the email indicated as the title of the reference. In other words, in italics and sentence case. This indication as to the receiver of the email follows thereafter, and please take note of the punctuation as well as the fact that the surname here follows the initial of the receiver. Lastly, as is the case with any other electronic source, you indicate the last date of access at the end. Let's move over to the last aspect that we will look at in this video: social media platforms. If I have a tweet like this one to reference, it would look like this. As you can see, it looks exactly the same as a web page reference, with the exception of the inclusion between block brackets of the social media platform's name. A few things to take note of. You will make use of the author of the tweet's Twitter handle, the @handle, as this will never change short of the account being closed. This is also the easiest way for your readers to find the author should they want to. Furthermore, you can cite the entire tweet as the title of the reference, even if there's a link in it. Lastly, make sure that the URL you copy will take readers to this specific tweet and not just to the author's Twitter page. This can be done by clicking on the specific tweet first before you copy and paste the URL in your browser window. Now, should this post have been made on Facebook, again, the rules of a normal web page would apply, but this time we would just identify the platform as being Facebook. In that case, the page name would serve as the title, just as the author's Facebook credentials would be the name. In our next video tutorial, we will continue with the idea of soft copy sources, but move on to other non-print media such as film, video, and music recordings.